I'm sure if you clicked on this video, you are definitely aware of the existence of the two Portal games created by Valve. While these two games are quite old, they're still widely enjoyed to this day by a lot of different people, and so I decided to create this video explaining 10 minutes worth of information about the two games. Warning, as the title and thumbnail imply, the facts within this video are truly extra useless.
Hello?
During the events of the game, Wheatley was 25% corrupt. The Space Core's name before he became corrupted was Stanley, and his job was to flip switches. As implied by a hidden voice line, the Space Core's father is space itself. When Wheatley and the Space Core are in space together, the Space Core orbits Wheatley, giving the impression that Wheatley is incredibly dense. This is very likely an inside joke. The confirmed reason a Portal 3 was never developed was simply because not enough Valve developers wanted to work on it. GLaDOS stands for Genetic Lifeform and Disk Operating System, often referenced in both games as the infamous Bring Your Daughter to Work Day, which happened off-screen before the events of the first game. During this event, 40 potato batteries were manufactured. Both games in the installment were developed using Source. Wheatley exists in Team Fortress 2 as a sapper for the Spy. Every corrupted core from the final boss fight in Portal 2 is voiced by Nolan North. On the day of its release, Portal 2 was accidentally released an unspecified number of hours ahead of schedule. The two robots that were invented as part of the Cooperative Testing Initiative are called Atlas and Peabody. The credit song Still Alive for Portal contains 278 words. The credit song Want You Gone for Portal 2 contains 207 words. The idea for Portal came from a game made by students at the DigiPen Institute of Technology called Narbacular Drop. If you go into the files of Portal 2 and delete voice lines, then play the game, every voice line you deleted will be replaced by Isaac Kleiner from Half-Life saying,
No fiddlesticks. What now?
The world record for the fastest playthrough of Portal is held by Shizzle, who completed it in 5 minutes and 56 seconds. Of all the facts stated by the Fact Sphere, only 21 are 100% correct. The 4 spheres from the boss fight in Portal 1 are the Anger Core, the Morality Core, the Curiosity Core, and the Intelligence Core. Portal 2's production process was directed by Joshua Ware. Bonus fact, I almost definitely pronounced that wrong. In Portal 1, there are 49 cameras scattered throughout every test chamber. Within the second chapter of Portal 2, when Wheatley briefly appears in the wall, if you're quick, you can actually grab him. He also won't be destroyed by the Emancipation Grill, but will despawn after the next loading screen. The most difficult test chamber in the first game, according to statistics, is Chamber 18. During one of the test chambers in Portal 2, GLaDOS gives sped up instructions, and if you slow it down, you find she actually quoted a line from Moby Dick.
And methodically knocking people's heads off. Then I count my time to get to see as soon as I'm ready.
At a particular out-of-bounds area of the escape map in Portal 1, there is a radio that bleeds when shot with a gun. It is there because it plays the final voice lines in the boss fight with GLaDOS. The cake scene at the end of Portal 1 is a Black Forest Gatto, and ingredients to make it can be seen on the computer screen within the code. Also in the first game, the elevator doors for Chamber 14 and 19 have no collision. In the Relaxation Vault, there was supposed to be an IV stand, but it was removed. However, you can still see this IV stand in the game's menu. The only advanced chamber in Portal 2 to contain a radio is Advanced Chamber 18. The metal ring that falls in front of you in the final Portal cutscene was put there by Valve in hopes of it becoming a meme. However, it was beaten out by The Cake is a Lie. The ring can also be found scattered in various locations throughout Portal 2. Before Aperture was a science corporation, it was called Aperture Fixtures and sold shower curtains. Shell has a voice actor, as at some points in the game she can grunt in pain, and these sound effects were sampled from one of the citizens in Half-Life, whose voice actor was credited as Shell's voice actor in Portal. At the beginning of Portal 2, the other test subjects' rooms have expiration dates. When Wheatley speaks Spanish after being put in charge, he says, "You are using this translation software incorrectly, please consult the manual." Also in the Spanish dub of Portal 2, this line is said in English. Both Portal games are created by Valve. Valve also created Source Filmmaker. Allegedly, Shell isn't actually mute, but rather chooses not to speak throughout both games out of frustration. The metal ring I mentioned earlier is named Hoopy the Hoop. If you find a way to glitch the companion cube past the Emancipation Grill, your game will crash. Wheatley is otherwise known as the Intelligence Dampening Sphere. Shell's name is never said directly in either game. Wheatley was originally going to be named Pendleton. The first game's age rating is 11. Every game in the orange box, which includes Portal, takes place in the same universe. When the announcer is saying,
Knife.
Over and over again, he continues for a little bit after Wheatley knocks on the door. Two Valve writers once hosted a talk about the creation of Portal 2 and literally named it, How to Make a Sequel to a Game That Doesn't Need One. You were originally going to be able to bash Wheatley and drop him downstairs, causing him to scream. However, this meant the developers would have to put gates around the player so that you couldn't drop him into bottomless pits. Which they did attempt, but clearly had a hard time with, as one maker openly referred to this process as a pain in the arse. Thus, the function was scrapped. In the files, every voice line for Wheatley adds up to about 16 hours worth of audio. There was initially going to be a Morgan Freeman core in the final boss fight of Portal 2, and his voice lines revolved around him spewing endless facts and general information about a singular 20 by 20 room in the facility. The average amount of time it takes someone to complete the first game is 3 hours. As for the second game, it's 8.5 hours. The true size of the Aperture facility is estimated to be 3 miles or 4.8 kilometers. There is a third Portal game in the installment called Portal Still Alive. It is essentially the same as Portal 1 and was created for the orange box. If you have watched this long into the video, you have watched the span of time in which the facility in Portal 2 would have exploded if Shell hadn't defeated Wheatley. Another name and function for the spaced core is the core that doesn't know his purpose. There are unused voice lines in the files in which GLaDOS is reading and criticizing a Garfield comic.
So, this cat loves lasagna so much that he eats all of the lasagna in his house. Oh, apparently it's not the cat's house or his lasagna. Oh, good. The man who owns the lasagna is furious. The end. The end? That's not funny. Do either of you feel like laughing?
The person who wrote The Cake is a Lie, as well as the other graffiti in the Portal 1 escape area, is Doug Ratman. The second game's age rating is 12. At the part where GLaDOS crushes Wheatley, he was originally supposed to die for good. However, he was brought back because playtesters liked him too much. After Shell wakes up from suspension, there is an imprint of her body in the mattress. Portal 1 takes place in 2010. Portal 2 is estimated to take place between 50 and 50,000 years later, but the exact year is unconfirmed. When you first find the portal gun in Portal 2, there is a depiction of Shell fighting GLaDOS on the wall. It is unclear who drew it. The smooth jazz played in one of Portal 2's first test chambers was sampled from Larry Stevens' album, Offering. When you receive the companion cube, GLaDOS informs you that it is not sentient and will not threaten to stab you. It is for this reason that fans of the game headcanon that the companion cube is sentient and will threaten to stab you. It's believed that either one or both of Shell's parents worked at Aperture, as one of the potato battery projects you can find in Portal 2 has her name on it. Portal 1 only has 15 achievements. Portal 2 has 50. A surface that you can place a portal on is called a portal surface. However, people very often call it a portalable surface. The current world record completion for Portal 2's co-op mode is held by Betts Runa and Real Creative. They completed it in 25 minutes, 32 seconds, and 560 milliseconds. Of the 3 corrupted cores from the boss fight in Portal 2, the Adventure Core was the first to fly into space. Wheatley was never actually evil. GLaDOS' body is equipped with a chassis that creates euphoria after a test is completed. And it was programmed in such a way that any core that is in charge becomes addicted to the rush of testing, which is what caused Wheatley to betray Shell and keep her in the facility. If you grab the conscious turret from the conveyor belt and hold it for long enough, it will start to give information about the remainder of the game.
Don't drink lemonade. Prometheus was punished by the gods for giving the gift of knowledge to man. He was cast into the bowels of the earth and pecked by birds. The answer is beneath us. Her name is Carolyn.
In Portal 2's Test Chamber 16, there is a turret behind a grate. If you use the laser reflection to make it explode, the grate will also be destroyed, allowing you to follow a secret path that leads to a choir of turrets singing. The first Portal game is rated 9.1 out of 10 stars on IMDb. The full name of the regular cubes used in tests is the Aperture Science Weighted Storage Cube. Portal won Game of the Year in 2007. In the beta version of Portal 2, Cave Johnson was originally going to live forever inside of a cube. You can visit the Portal 2 facility in the 2015 game, LEGO Dimensions. A grand majority of the original game's voice actors recorded lines for this game. The Morality Core is the only core throughout both games that does not speak or emit any noises. If you crouch on the ground and look down while escaping from GLaDOS in Portal 1, thus assuming the party escorts a mission position, you will get an achievement. Similarly, in Portal 2, if you actually come back and jump down the pit during the part where he kills you, you will get an achievement as well. In the files, there is an unused red portal feature, as well as another version of the portal gun. The intended purpose for these remains unclear. In the Portal 1 boss fight, GLaDOS states that 2 + 2 is 10, followed by in base 4, I'm fine. If one were using the base 4 counting system as shown on screen, this answer would be correct. Portal 2 is ranked at 3rd place on the IGN list of top 100 video games of all time, and in case you're wondering, 1st place is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And finally, at the Game Choice Awards in 2010, Gabe Newell gave a presentation in which he answered people's questions about the game. However, at some point, the presentation software crashed and projected a blue screen error, causing the audience to boo him. Thanks for watching, and Merry Christmas everyone.